Hi, everybody. I'm going to wait a minute or two for people to get on, but thank you for sending all these great questions. And it's like probably the worst time to do a live. Everybody is outside enjoying this great day. But I will post this video so you have some of the answers. A lot of people are asking questions about anxiety. People are asking questions about the summer, already stressing out about what to... hey, my friend Carrie, I need to see you in person, girl, soon. But Carrie knows, she's a therapist. A lot of people are asking questions about anxiety, feeling stressed. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. So sweet. I got my big summer hair out today. Big hair, messy hair, don't care. So, and already parents are stressed out about the summer and what they're going to do with their kids. And I'm feeling that too. I feel like we just got to the end of the year, and I'm somebody who just like takes it one day at a time, and we deal with the next phase when we get to it, which you can tell I'm not a huge planner in that sense. But you know, that helps me with the anxiety, just trying to stay in the present and figure things out as I go along. But having said that, some level of planning is great. So I want to get to some of these questions that people have sent in. Thank you for sending in questions. And hi, Meg. If you have questions, type them in the chat and I will get to those as well. So one of the big questions I've been getting, not just from you guys, but from clients in my practice is their parents are having a hard time balancing their kids needing to see their friends, but other families not having the same beliefs, social distancing as their families. And this is really hard. Social distancing right now, we knew that it was going to become more an issue again as the country opened up and different people feel different ways about it. Now, what some things to think about. It's so interesting. I feel like we're in this time where there are many things that have impacted our friendships. Social distancing is one. The way that we're handling the pandemic and the unknown is one that has really impacted our friendships. And then, of course, our beliefs about race and privilege, that has definitely come between a lot of our friendships now too. And we're seeing things differently and we're thinking about our friends differently and our relationships. So what I would say is right now, and I am probably more on the conservative side of this, as much as I want to be done with the pandemic. I can't be done. I have healthcare workers in my family. I have two parents who are at high risk. And in that case, my situation is different from other friends in that I have a direct risk that I come into contact with, people who are high risk. And some people don't have that. So I really feel like... and let's just say this, like we have to talk a little bit when we're talking about social distancing and seeing friends, we have to also talk about the kind of friendships we have. Are these friends who will do what they need to do to spend time with you because they love you and they want to see you? That's my first question. Are they friends who are going to respect your beliefs without judging you? I've been saying, you know, everybody's been saying from the beginning, 2020 is the year of vision, but let me tell you, we are seeing things clearer in many ways than we've ever seen them before, about ourselves, about our friends, about the world right now, and not the kind of 2020 vision we were thinking, but certainly clarity. So I think we have to think about what kind of friends do we have? And if they're not friends that are going to respect your comfort level on social distancing, if they're not friends that you can talk to about your comfort level on social distancing, you might want to consider what kind of friendship it is. Now, that's kind of a harsh way of looking at it, but I've seen with many of my clients, them in friendships where they're second guessing themselves, where they're questioning the friendship, but they remain in it. They remain in it just because, you know, they get together, it's fun, It's better than being without friends. But now we're coming down to an issue that involves your health and the health of your family. So what I would say, it's so important, especially if you're somebody who wants to social distance, who still is uncertain and not feeling safe about going out, that you have the conversations with people. And, many times as therapists, what we do is we give people words, how to say different things. And how I've been talking to my clients is just say, gosh, we've missed you so much. I wish this was over. But right now we are still a little bit hesitant about going out. Here's a scenario that, would this work for you? Could we do something like this? Several things that have, I've seen people do, we've done as well. We've done outdoor movie nights for the kids where the kids are separated, they're in blankets, they're on lawn chairs, and then the adults are sitting nearby, distanced with a drink. I've been to places where everybody brings their own drink. I've had people at my house with my family when they came over. I served everybody the drinks with masks and gloves on initially before we distanced again. So you have to be comfortable with this. And what I would say is, if this is something that's important to you, the social distancing, it's going to be an awkward situation if you don't have that conversation first and then you agree to do something and then feel uncomfortable and hesitant the whole time. And there may be some friends that you have who don't understand it right now. And then maybe these are not friends that you see right now until we have a little bit more information. Connecticut just opened up. For many of us, the country just opened up. Some states we're seeing spikes again, and that is concerning for many of us watching. So for many of us, we're waiting to see in a few weeks and months what this is going to look like. But I think if these really are your friends, it's important that you feel like you can have these honest conversations with them. With the kids, it's definitely hard. I think when you have younger kids, it's really almost impossible to social distance. Now, having said that, my feeling is that, my cousin in Arizona just said Arizona's spiking right now as well. So with the little kids, I think, supervise, get two of them together, kind of keep them outside, far apart. We went to a neighbor's house yesterday and the kids rode bikes outside and in the neighborhood. I mean, so old school till it got dark. It was so beautiful. And then some were on roller skates and they weren't on top of each other. And we were talking to them about kind of keeping their distance. But I felt more comfortable with the kids outside playing together. And from what I understand, the risk, one, with kids, and two, being outside is definitely safer. So whatever it is, respect yourself and your own comfort level. Respect your discernment about what is good for your family. And if these are friends that are not going to understand, nor are they going to respect your views, I would say you have to question the friendship there. I know I have friends who are at different comfort levels and I love them and I want to see them and I want to do it in a way where I'm respecting them and they're comfortable. And I feel like everybody should be treated in that way. So that's what I'm saying about the kids and social distancing. And again, yes, it's tough right now. The other thing is pools. If you have a pool, it tends to be a bit safer in the pool. We've had kids we've gone to a friend's pool and the kids, again, they took their spaces in the pool. They weren't on top of each other and it seemed like a better situation for us. So there are some creative ways you can do it. I know with kindergartners and young kids, it gets tough. So I think you have to be creative. But again, the movie night is a great one where you can separate them out like that as well. If you can get a projector. If you live in Nashville, you don't have a projector, you can borrow ours. So we have one. My husband's very proud of it. So that's what I'm going to say about the social distancing. So let's talk about other summer things. What do we do with our kids? I mean, I got 4 of them. They're all on a screen right now, all on a screen. So the one thing I'm going to say about this summer is go into it with realistic expectations. We are still in a pandemic. We don't have access to the camps. We can't invite a ton of kids over and just have them play. And for many of us who have to work as well, there are going to be times that kids are on a screen. This, even if we're talking about, we're talking about March, even if it's a year, it's a year where we're trying to survive. We're trying to survive. We're trying to get work done. We're trying to spend some time with kids. I'd say we're, at this point, as a therapist, we should almost be more concerned about their mental health than their academic ability right now, because we're going to see a huge increase in mental health issues, especially in kids and adolescents. So what I'm trying to do in terms of juggling work, and I'm very fortunate, like I haven't stopped working. I can work from home and do everything on a screen, but I'm trying to block off times where I can get like 3 hours of work done and then take a long break and interact with my kids. Reading, I've tried to find books that they've liked to do, and I'm trying to create a schedule that they can be in charge of. Now, are they going to follow it perfectly? No. But if I made a list for them the other day. On Thursday, I saw 9 patients in a row. And I said, you guys are in charge. There was a reward at the end of it. And sometimes I put the bigger kids in charge of the little kids, when they feel like it. Now, we're on like day 2. Is this going to last on the 3rd week? Probably not, but I'll come up with new ideas at that point and I'll share them with you. But I made a little time for reading. We set times on Alexa so they know when they went out. I set art times. I made like a little art station for them. I gave them time to play in the toy room. I said, okay, this block, you're going to go outside, do your bubbles. And they like the predictability of a schedule. And then, screen time. We're going to have some more screen time for different months, especially if you're working. What I would say is, and we said this from the beginning as therapists, you are not going to damage your kids with screens for this amount of time. It's important that they get outside. It's important that they try and interact with other kids and stay busy. But again, we don't have the same options that we've had every summer. Don't stress out about needing to have them occupied. Don't worry about their academic decline over the summer. Everybody's going to be in a similar boat. I know people who are getting tutors for their kids this summer. I personally don't care. Like I'm okay with it. We'll catch up at a certain point. I want them to do some reading. If I can get them to do a little bit of math on Khan Academy or some of the other apps that they use, then great. But again, have realistic expectations. And the first question, please ask yourself is, how do I preserve my mental health as a parent, as an adult, and my kids' mental health this summer? There's certain things, especially when it comes to doing schoolwork in the summer, that are really not worth any of your mental health, especially this summer. Pick a summer when there are other things to do to focus on that piece of it. Juggling work with kids is hard, especially now my husband's back at the office more. He's a surgeon, and he does elective surgeries really, so for orthopedics, and they've been shut down for months. So now he's back, so that's going to be more of a challenge. But like I said, creating these schedules and getting them involved in creating the schedules and talking to them about how to do it can be really helpful, and they can take some ownership of it, and we might have to change it around and incentivize it, rewards. Now, rewards, there's different feelings about rewards, rewarding kids for doing things that they should be doing anyway. But what I've seen in the research is if the rewards are unexpected, so you don't necessarily tell them at the outset, but you find that they are doing something and then you reward it, it can be very effective. And then they know, I'm not really sure what I'm going to get rewarded for, but there could be rewards along the way. That tends to be a little bit more effective. And then you also encourage intrinsic motivation, doing things because they should do them, because they want to do them, rather than motivation for an external reward. So that's what I would say about that. Juggling work and kids for the summer. Someone asked, plans for the summer with so many places, activities closed, and not feeling safe. This is hard. This, again, is really hard, and you have to get creative. So our plans, we are going to be at home a lot. I'm still working. The kids, and the thing, when you quarantine with 6 people, you kind of quarantine with like a party. So we have 4 kids. I tell them that's why I had you guys. Entertain each other, play with each other. But we do belong to a community pool. We're going to try and spend some time there. Again, water and chlorinated water tends to be more safe We're going to try and take some trips to the beach outside. So we tend to feel safer outside. Again, outdoor movies, old school summer, s'mores, ride your bikes, roller skate, rollerblade. All my kids got skateboards. They've been skateboarding. So you can do those kind of things and have a summer like some of us had growing up too. And I'm seeing that the kids they're enjoying it. Chalk, bubbles, drawings, those kind of things to keep them busy, and hopefully reading and books and taking time to read aloud. I did a whole video on how that's incredibly beneficial according to educators to read aloud with your kids. So definitely find ways to do that with them as well. What other questions? Techniques you use for meditation and mindfulness with kids. That's a good question. The summer is a great time to learn some mindfulness, short periods of time, mindfulness. So a few minutes, 5-6 minutes, you can build up from there. And someone asked me about apps. So Smiling Mind is a good app. There's an app called Meditation for Kids. Moshi is one for sleep. Those are some of the good ones. And then Headspace is great for adults, but Headspace for kids is also really good too. So you can try those apps. But I want to show you something really quick called a breathing star. And this is something they can get used to and do on their own. And you can do it anywhere you go. So a breathing star, this technique is actually on a video on my website, neurofeliciano.com. And I drew a much prettier picture. But if you can see this, you draw the center star, and they can even draw it, a center star to a spiral to an outside star. And what you do is you instruct them to take a deep breath here in through their nose. Breathe it all the way in while they're tracing the star, and breathe out. And then go backwards, starting to breathe in and breathe out. So that's a quick technique to just teach your kids how to slow down the breath, stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, and to calm down. And there are going to be lots of fights and lots of timeouts. This is a great thing to do for a timeout, to get them to do something like this productive, rather than an inactive timeout. So that's a good one to try, the breathing star. And just slow counts. Find what counts are comfortable for them. You want to make sure their exhale is longer than the inhale, and that's when you get the parasympathetic nervous stimulation, which will calm them down, which we're all going to need this summer. Okay, one more question, anxiety. Let's talk about anxiety for like 5 minutes. First of all, a lot of people are feeling anxious right now. They're anxious about the pandemic. They're anxious about the climate, where we're having these conversations about race and privilege. They're anxious about protests and violence and things that we're seeing. And what I found with a lot of clients is they're experiencing anxiety that they thought they had gotten past a long time ago. Well, one thing that I tell clients is when you have anxiety, we are wired for it. It's in our genetics. You will likely deal with it again. But the time it takes for you to recover should get shorter when you know the techniques, if you've done the work. And shorter meaning too, I have some patients who came off medication, they've gone on for a period of time. It doesn't mean they're going to go on for as long as they have before, but going on for a short period of time till you feel better can make a difference, especially if you've been doing the therapeutic techniques, you've been doing the breathing, and it's not working for you. So just know that this is a time where a lot of people are experiencing anxiety for the first time and also re-experiencing anxiety. I've had clients who haven't had panic attacks in years. They've gotten past certain situations, public situations, where they have been fine, and now panic is coming again. They're having the panic attacks again. So this is because we're in a highly charged environment. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknown. And those conditions are the breeding ground for anxiety, especially if you're wired for it. I had a panic attack at the beginning of COVID. I haven't had a panic attack in like 2 decades. It's nice when you know what it is, though, and you know what to do about it. So if anxiety is something you've ever struggled with, every therapist is doing virtual sessions right now. Get in touch. If you're local, I'm happy to connect you with a therapist. Unfortunately, I stopped taking clients about a year ago, but I have some amazing ones, one that was on this call right now, who will help you and are really dedicated to this work. One of the questions I got were suggestions for chronic anxiety surrounding irrational thinking. So, and the example they gave me was fear of driving. So the best thing for something like fear of driving is, because that is a phobia, is exposure therapy coupled with cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy will give you the tools to challenge some of the irrational thoughts that you have. There's a process that we go through where we talk about how our thoughts are distorting, how we're going to the worst case scenario. And there's actually specific ways that we go to the worst case scenario. You know, for some, it's called fortune telling. We predict a negative outcome is going to happen. For some, we're worried about what other people are going to think of us. That is a worst case scenario, and that we call mind reading. For some, there's a overgeneralization. We kind of go to the worst possible scenario and we overgeneralize what can happen. So once you know the specific ways your anxiety presents in your mind, it is easier to correct it. And what we do is we look at the evidence for what you're thinking is going to happen versus what usually happens in these situations. So there is there's a method to it, and cognitive behavioral therapy is research-based. We know that it's effective for anxiety. So that's one of the things that can be really helpful in essentially reprogramming your brain, because when we can get your mind off the negative thinking, it's amazing. Our brain is wired to heal itself in many ways. Like, God put those systems in us. So what happens when we stop perseverating on a thought is we send the message to our brain that we no longer need that thought. So our brain is very efficient. It does not like to waste energy. We begin to degrade those neurons, those white myelinated pathways, and we start creating new ones around the more positive coping thought. That's why thought replacement really works. Now, if you are so anxious that you can't even begin to do this thought replacement, I suggest really committing to a mindfulness breathing meditation practice, and also talking to a physician, and more specifically a psychiatrist. And I love internal medicine doctors who prescribe medication just to get you started when you're in a tough spot, but they're not as nuanced, and they'll tell you this. There are many who don't even prescribe psych meds anymore. The psychiatrist, this is all they do, and the body's really complex. It's nice to have a doctor who just focuses on one part. So I would say go to a psychiatrist if you feel like you've tried all these different coping techniques and they don't work. Because what the medication will do is it will get you to a point. I have some clients where medication has done most of the work, but they're few and far between. For most of them, medication will get you to a certain point, so then you are calm enough, you can process better, so that you can get yourself the rest of the way. You can do the work to get better. And the work is so important when it comes to anxiety, because like I said, if you've had anxiety in the past, it is likely it will reoccur at some point. So you want to be armed with the tools that you can use that are effective to help you in that moment acutely, but also to just address the patterns of anxiety that might happen given different situations. I never predicted a pandemic, but I can definitely predict there are other situations that will trigger anxiety, especially if you're a parent. Lots of parenting anxiety. So, like I said, in addition to cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy for these irrational fears, when you have a fear of doing something, of a certain place, or of something. A lot of people have phobias of animals, different kinds of animals. I have a terrible snake phobia. I know exposure therapy will help me. I'm not going to do it. I don't need to be around snakes. So what that's going to do is it starts in the office, and we begin to take you through scenarios, monitoring your breath, monitoring your heart rate, seeing how you respond, hypothetical scenarios, and equip you with the tools to be able to manage it as it comes up. And little by little, we take baby steps in that scenario to desensitize you. Because what happens is anxiety follows a bell curve. It goes up and then it comes down. Eventually, we can get desensitized to it. But what happens is when you're thinking about something, like for example, for me with snakes, I'm going to go see a snake outside after this. The anxiety starts going up, and your brain is telling you, as it gets heightened, get away from it. So what I will do is I will run the heck away from that snake. I never have the chance to get over the bell curve and become desensitized to it, where my anxiety comes down. And we do that desensitization with a combination of cognitive techniques, just our thoughts, talking ourselves down, and breathing and mindfulness. And you do it in baby steps. You don't just throw yourself in front of that scenario. Driving is actually a very common irrational fear. I have have clients in the past who've had fear of driving on highways and driving on bridges. And we can do this exposure therapy. And the best thing to do with it is in vivo exposure therapy. So where you're actually in the situation with, the client. I've done this for a client who was very scared of shopping and in grocery stores. So we took baby steps. We first got in the car and talked about driving to the grocery store. And then our next step was actually driving to the grocery store and sitting in the parking lot. And then I walked with her in the grocery store. And meanwhile, like, we're talking and she's using her techniques. And it got to the point and this happened over several days, but it got to the point where she was like, I'm good, you can leave, I can pay for this myself. And then once you get past it, it's amazing how your brain will respond to it. Our brain is so powerful. We just need to know how to harness it correctly, how to harness that power that we have to overcome anxiety. And anxiety is very treatable, very curable. It is such a paralyzer of living out your purpose, and it does not have to be. We have a lot of strength in anxiety, we have a lot of strength internally, but also we have a lot of tools and strategies. And if you're a person of faith, I'm just going to say there is no more powerful weapon against anxiety than scripture. We have to weaponize scripture for anxiety, because that is thought replacement right there. And we want to be able to adapt our thinking for that to become our normal go-to thought, the power that's in scripture rather than the worst case scenario. So that was my thought. Those are my thoughts for anxiety. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have. You can message me. I'm going to try and do more lives this summer because people have questions. People are feeling anxious. So whoever asked that, irrational thinking, exposure therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy. And honestly, mindfulness, meditation, breathing, all of those things are helpful techniques as you're working through the anxiety, and literally can calm down the adrenaline that's flowing through your body when you're anxious. So great for parenting, because many of us are going to be anxious this summer and frustrated. I don't like to say anticipate the worst case scenario, but be realistic about it and know that we're all in it together. Many of us are going through it, especially with young kids. But I hope this is helpful, and I'll look forward to hearing you soon. If anybody has questions, anybody else has any questions? Oh, you're welcome, Nikki. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I love seeing your faces, or your little picture of your faces. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be back again soon to talk soon. Bye, Carly. Have a great weekend, and I'm going to post more stuff soon. Bye, Nikki. Oh, yay. Oh, Nikki, we got to talk.